Good evening, everybody. We were just talking, we're going to have Jeff Gibby with us tonight, who is always a pleasure to have him here, number one. And number two, his software, MetaStock, is probably the best software as far as scanning for candlestick signals and patterns, which he'll explain to you. And I always tell people the biggest fault of MetaStock is that it's got so many good things that you can use on it for your own, if you want to do your own analysis or set up your own indicators. They've got so much good stuff that you'd never be able to use it all. So, okay, so what we're going to be looking at tonight is how MetaStock scanning software definitely tracks down, or at least identifies, the strong signals and patterns. Now, obviously, the 12 major signals. For those folks that are new in here tonight, there's 50 or 60 candlestick signals. Over the last 40 years, I've narrowed them down to 12, what we call the 12 major signals. All you have to do is learn these, and you'll have two tremendous benefits. One, you'll identify where major reversals occur. And the reason we call these the 12 major signals is because although the other 50 or 60 signals work well, they don't occur often enough to spend mental time and energy trying to learn them. And two, once you identify visually when a reversal signal is occurring, over the last 400 years, the Japanese value traders have also added the benefit of describing what caused or what investor sentiment created those signals. So not only can you recognize a reversal, but you've got kind of a understanding of why that reversal is occurring as far as investor sentiment is occurring, or stuttering tonight. You understand why those signals or patterns are occurring. Patterns, these are the patterns. And the reason that we can see them working is because investor sentiment works the same way time after time. So the benefit for investors is that you can create your own universe of stocks. And then once you've created that universe, the one thing that we do before we do any trading is when we wake up in the morning, we want to see what the pre-market futures are suddenly went low. All right, is that better? We want to see which direction the market's going. Is it confirming the direction we anticipated? We can also anticipate when there might be a reversal. There's our evening star signal in the Dow a while back. There's our evening star signal when it bounced up and hit the T-line. But, it's your computer tonight. But the nice thing about MetaStock scanning in the candlestick signals is it recognizes the signal, and it will tell you what type of signal it is. So there's a very simple common sense application to candlestick signals. The Japanese rice traders say, if you see a candlestick reversal signal, like a Morningstar signal, in the oversold area, the probabilities are pretty strong you've got a reversal. Sound cutting in and out. PT, that might be you or your server. You might have to hit your refresh button. So, with that, here's what we can analyze. Because we've got some very simple rules about candlestick signals, we can see where things are getting ready to reverse. Notice on Monday, we had a doji. The stochastics were just now getting up into the overbought area. And what is our simple rule of a doji? The price is going to move in the direction of how they open after a doji. If they opened it lower, and we can assume they were trading it lower, what would that tell us about our resistance level? Told us that resistance level is still acting as resistance. So when we saw the gap up doji hitting a resistance level with stochastics just climbing into the overbought area, this becomes a very simple assumption. It has to open positive and break out to tell us that this resistance level is not acting as resistance. Now, you can see based upon what the pre-market futures are telling you. So when we woke up Tuesday morning, I think the pre-market futures had been down like 200 points, but at opening they were only down 95. But they were still down. So what that kind of indicated was, if there was no strength, any of your bullish charts that might look a little bit soggy, you start closing them out because it told us we're probably not going up through this resistance level. On the other hand, did we know that there was going to be an 800-point drop in the market? Definitely not. All we knew is that we wanted to be positioned a little bit weaker or adding some short positions because it's probably going to come back down. Not to this magnitude, but coming back down. So the statement I always make about candlestick signals is it may not tell you how strong a price move might be, but what it does do is put you in the right position that if you do have a big move down, you're already situated in that direction. Now I want to even go further. They opened it here today, and where did they take it? They took it right back down to this bottom area. So when they've gone from here to here, 1,500 points, they've basically gone from the resistance level down to the support level. That can be visually recognized. So if you know that you're at a level that could possibly act as support, and it's down another, I forget how many hundreds of points it was at that time, there's a very simple process. You flip to your 10-minute chart. And if you can see when it hit the support level area, when we started seeing this, what's that kind of telling us? That they're supporting at that support level. It may be time to start picking up stock or futures or whatever you're trading based upon they've hit the bottom. Now they're starting to come back up. So again, this is not rocket science. This is just merely identifying what happens normally in human nature and taking advantage of big price moves. So we started buying some calls down in this area. Did reasonably well today. So at any point, you can do scans looking for the best signals, like a best friend signal that was forming a J-hook pattern. Best friend signal telling you you're going to be in a 45. This wasn't today. This was earlier. A best friend signal. Or there's your blue ice failure, which is a very simple trend analytical process. It's described as somebody coming down, falling through the ice. What do they try to do? They come up and find the hole they fell through. If they can't find it, they drown. Where are they going? Down here. How did we know they drowned? Because there was a bearish engulfing signal right smack dab at the 50, making this your next likely target. So there's some very simple rules, and we can see what happens. There's a bullish harami. We know the bullish harami tells us that the selling has stopped. So if we know the selling has stopped in the oversold area and they gap it up the next day, that's a pretty strong indication they're taking it back up. So why do we look for these type of signals, especially on a support level? Everybody and their brothers watching to see what's happening at this support level. I often get asked, how many days does it take for your reversal to confirm? And the answer is 0. If we see a candlestick reversal signal and it confirms the next day, we're buying because all the probabilities say if this is a reversal signal, which is identified over the last 400 years, and they open up positive, That's just bullish confirmation that the bulls have now taken control. So bullish harami, bearish engulfing, these are things that just are high probability trade setups. A bearish flutter kicker signal is not only a strong reversal signal, it's a strong reversal signal. And what is the identification of the bearish flutter kicker signal? The fact that you were in an uptrend and the next day they opened it at or below the previous day's open and did a doji type day. Now you add your next analysis, the doji rule. It's going to move in the direction of how they open after a doji. They were taking it in this direction. So why do we call it a bearish flutter kicker signal? Because if you took out this little flutter, you've got a bearish kicker signal, which is one of your strongest candlestick signals. So everything we do is based upon mere common sense. There's your bearish best friend, a doji followed by a gap down. So not only is it easy to identify the signals, but you can also scan or look for the patterns. Now there's a big advantage of trading the patterns, which is they're usually going to keep working in spite of what the overall market is doing. So this is what we call your classic pattern, which is a fry pan bottom breakout. What do we get coming out of a fry pan bottom breakout? A very strong price move. Then what do we have? A J-hook pattern. And what's the prerequisite for a J-hook pattern? A very strong price move. So it's not unusual to see this classic move where they've come out of a pattern, strong price move, J-hook pattern, and that continuation of that price move. So there's two benefits to patterns. One is when they move, they're going to give you a much stronger, a bigger inordinate profit than just an uptrending stock and an uptrend. As you can see in LSCC, look what this stock did over the last couple of days when the Dow was down 1,500 points. That fry pan bottom keeps you in positions or puts you in positions where even if the market's selling off, they may still move positive, or at worst, they're not backing off very much. You can get out without a big loss because they're still working. So we constantly look for, I should take all this off, looking for the patterns, because we know if this is wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 is going to be the same magnitude as wave 1. So here's one that we're looking at tomorrow. No sound. No. Yeah, I don't know what that. This is SFIX. You can see the fry pan bottom. You can see the big bullish engulfing left-right combo. And a close above the 50. And a close right here at this level. So what would be the logical entry? If it opens positive, more than likely this is a fry pan bottom breakout. Why? Because you got a bullish engulfing signal. If it opens positive, it's confirming the bullish engulfing signal. And 2, breaks out through this level, it's confirming the fry pan bottom. So these are the type of things we're looking for. The strong signals. A kicker signal is your strongest individual candlestick signal. It usually implies there's going to be a strong uptrend. Or the inverted hammer. Now, this is why we tell people to learn the 12 major signals. They're kind of the bread and butter, the bricks and mortar, the ABCs of candlesticks. Once you learn the 12 major signals, which there's only 6 long and 6 short, you know where the probabilities are. We know that an inverted hammer, followed by a bullish confirmation, the probabilities, and now this is just my own analysis over the last 40 years or so. The probabilities are that if you see an inverted hammer, especially down in the oversold area, and they open up positive the next day, you probably have about a 95% probability or better that you're going to move positive. Now, the other element of candlestick analysis is that if you know that probability, we know where our stop loss is. That if this opens positive, and we expect a 95% probability or greater that it's going to go this way, where's our stop? It shouldn't come back down through there. That's that other probability that tells you to close out the position immediately. So the big aspect to candlestick analysis is it tells you when to buy and when to hold and when to sell, and it tells you when you get in a trade and it doesn't work, you get right back out with that small loss. So we're always looking for things that are going to give us high probabilities. Kind of a fry pan bottom. There's a belt hold, which tells you they've taken out some of the sellers. Now we're looking for it to break out. Again, these are older charts, so they're not current ones. There's your classic pattern. Fry pan bottom, getting ready for a J-hook. Why is this a good J-hook? Because notice your Harami inverted hammer, which the ultimate inverted hammer is your gravestone doji, bullish confirmation. Get ready for wave 3. So when you can add everything together, today, oh, pshaw, I forgot to. This might be KTOS. Big bullish engulfing. If it opens positive tomorrow, what do we got? Probably an uptrend taking you back up to the top of the channel. Look at what happened in Adro. Look where you are, in the oversold area. Now remember, one of the high profit patterns is a series of dojis. Because what does a doji represent? Indecision between the bulls and the bears. What does a series of dojis represent? More indecision between the bulls and the bears. And notice what type of signals we had in this doji trading area. Inverted hammer, gravestone doji, inverted hammer bullish confirmation. This is only a $2 stock, but if this opens positive, where's your next target? Possibly up here, which again makes for a very good percent move. Yeah, also a cradle pattern. So, series of dojis, cradle pattern, whatever, and the most important aspect is, look how this finally confirmed after an inverted hammer type signal. So these are things that you can scan for yourself. And we just did a training session that we were supposed to have done a couple weeks ago, but we had a power outage here in Pittsburgh. But we went through about 15 different high probability patterns and signal setups. Now, 15 different pattern signals and setups is a lot to kind of try to learn all at one time. So what we're advising people to do is learn 3 or 4 of them very well. Now, if you're learning 3 or 4, now what you've done is you've learned exactly when to buy, exactly when to sell, and what the trend is doing. So now you don't have to rely on anybody else. There aren't that many, many deviations or variations of signals. We know when the buy should be. If we were buying this one tomorrow, we have one very simple rule. Shouldn't close back below the T-line. If it starts moving, we continue to hold it until we see a candlestick sell signal and a close back below the T-line. So the more pieces of evidence we can put into our analysis, like the signals and the bullish confirmation, the pattern it creates, the higher the probability we're going to be in the right trade at the right time. So if we see something like this, MODN today did a big left-right combo, kind of coming out of a fry pan bottom with that bullish engulfing signal. What's this telling us? Remember, another simple rule of candlestick analysis is the bigger the signal, the more compelling that it is that you've had a change of investor sentiment. So the reason we're showing all these is because MetaStock I've been working with Jeff for a few years, and I'm not going to I'm going to let him give all the details. But we've basically put all the formulas into their software, so they identify the signals and they even point out what that signal is. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to log off, and we'll let Jeff come on. And Jeff, again, is one of a great friend of mine, and I can honestly say that they've probably got the best scanning software on the market. Not only does it scan extremely well, but they've got so many good, technical indicators on there that you could be putting good things on your charts constantly and always have more stuff to look at. So anyways, with that, Jeff, I'm going to log off, I think, and let you log on.
All right, let's
Welcome,
do that.
To have you back.
Steve, and the product that we designed with our programming team and me and Steve's input is something that has been one of our most successful, actually it has, bar none, been our most successful add-on one-time purchase product, and very, very proud of it. I like to go show it. Whether I'm traveling around with Steve or without him, I was up in Toronto a couple of years ago doing a presentation to a bunch of MetaStock users, and I showed it, and somebody came up to me afterwards, and he's like, I love this Steve Bigelow Candle Profit Systems. That's pretty much all of I use in the trading that I do. And I told him, I totally agree with you. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite definite add-ons, and it's been bore out in the customers. Every time I seem to show this, I get somebody that's using it that really, really likes the product. It's the result of a lot of effort from Steve and me, and we started with a version 1. We're on version 2. It took us a while to come out with version 2 because we did version 1 really, really well, and I couldn't think of anything that we'd want to add to make the version even better. But we added quite a few. Steve actually kind of started to talk a lot about kind of some of his McMuffin patterns, and we decided this last year that it was a good time to update the program, and we released version 2 in May. Version 2 in this month's issue of Stocks and Commodities magazine is going to be rated, it's going to have a review in Stocks and Commodities this month, and Barbara Starr, who was the reviewer of that, actually gave it a very, very warm review. So keep an eye open for that if you subscribe to Stocks and Commodities magazine. But there's a couple of reasons, and I feel like I'm in the mood to talk. But there's a couple of reasons that I really enjoy this product. Obviously, Steve tells the best jokes. If you haven't heard them, you're missing out. But the first one is it has been a very commercially successful product, and the second one is when I'm out there running scans, I'm usually looking for a Doji best friend. That's my favorite pattern out of all of the scans that we've got, and it's a really, really easy scan to run. So in any case, let's go ahead and kind of cut through that part of it, and let's just kind of talk a little bit about what's included with this. Here's a picture of Steve. Here's a picture of the box. In terms of the patterns that we wrote out for the product, this is a list of them. So you've got your Doji, the best friend. You've got the left-right combo. You've got the bullish version and the bearish version of that. You've got the Doji and the muffin sandwiches, the bobbles, the fry pan. In terms of multi-day patterns, I believe it's about 25, 28 of them on the screen here. And then we added a bunch of the single bar patterns like the Doji, the bullish engulfing, the bearish engulfing for version number 2. Now, I'm going to jump real quickly into MetaStock. I want to kind of show you how this works on a chart when you kind of open up a chart and how you get everything applied and really how that kind of irons out. So I've actually got, and I'm going to close down this Expert Advisor. Don't worry, I'll show it to you in just a minute. But I've got a chart of the Dow Industrial Average. It's not the actual index. I'm looking at the DIA ETF. So you can trade this like a stock. I'm sure most of you know what an ETF is. It just follows the Dow Industrials fairly close. And I've got it on a weekly basis right now. If I wanted to, I could change the periodicity, and we can look at it on a daily basis or kind of any time frame that we want. But I like to kind of start with a bit of a daily look at the chart. And initially, when you open up a chart and you apply this Bigelow template, you're going to get all of the indicators applied. So you'll have the T line and the 3T line and the moving averages that Steve uses. Those are just automatically drawn on the chart for you. You'll also get the stochastic, so you can see whether something's in the overbought or oversold territories. And the other thing that you're going to get, and I'm sure you've noticed it already, is anytime there's a pattern that's detected on a chart, it's actually going to label and identify that for you. So right here we've got the bullish engulfing. Here we had a doji. Here we had a left-right bullish, a slow curve, a fry pan, a bullish. And I think even just looking at this weekly version of the Dow chart, you can see why I like Steve's pattern so much. You've got a bull kicker right here before this huge upward move, which then turned into a bit of a dumpling top right at the top. Here you've had a bit of a bullish engulfing, which was followed up by a pretty good move, followed by a dumpling top, and we've had a bit, as Steve was saying earlier, a bit of a sideways action where the market's just quite frankly not sure where it wants to go. But you can kind of see on the chart right here exactly how well the patterns look and how they kind of shape up on the chart. The other thing that we've added as part of the product is, in case you're not familiar with the patterns, I went through, I believe it was a huge PowerPoint or some training that Steve put together. And what we did was we took the training materials for his courses, and we tried to make that into a commentary that would help you understand the patterns. And we call that an expert advisor commentary. And I'm going to show that to you on a chart. I'm going to pop it open. We'll go ahead and click on View right here and then Expert Commentary. And as soon as we do that, you'll get a little bit of an arrow on the chart. Initially, that arrow is going to point to the very last day because that's usually the day that you're focused on. And since there's really not a pattern that it identified today, it's really just going to kind of tell you how much we like Steve, a link off to his website, and just a little bit of an overview of the system. But really what we want to be able to do is kind of understand what a bull kicker is, or an engulfing bullish symbol, or something along those lines. And so if I actually move this arrow over, I can click over here on this bull kicker bar, again, right before this big upward trend. And it's going to kind of give me a bit of an explanation in terms of what this is. This bullish kicker presents a consistent trading opportunities for long positions. The signal is even more powerful when it forms at a major support level. The larger the dark candle at the bottom is, the more powerful the reversal. Your exit strategy should be swift upon any trading below the open of the previous day's candle body. Okay? And in some of these patterns, what we've done is, obviously, if you're looking for a setup for today, you've probably run a scan to get here. And what we tried to do with a lot of these patterns is kind of give you some idea for when you're going through this of how to identify exactly which pattern you should pick. So in other words, should I pick XYZ stock or should I pick ABL, or I've got maybe half a dozen I can pick from. The enhancements tries to give you some advice in terms of how to pick which ones. So a couple of questions. Kathy says, my screen is stuck since 8:20. Try hitting the refresh screen on that. That'll probably help it for you. Hanny, we are recording today's session. Thank you for that question. We will send a copy of it out to everybody that registers sometime tomorrow. Okay. All right. So when you're looking at these things, basically what you're going to be able to see is these enhancements after the explanation of the pattern and the advice on how to trade it. In this case, if we're looking at bull kickers, we'd want to find a kicker signal that forms at a major support level, okay, or one with a big dark candle at the bottom of the trend. Okay. I'm going to cough, so I'm going to get quiet for a second because I'm not going to blow out your speakers. I've had a little bit of a cold, so, it happens. It's that time of year. It wouldn't feel like Christmas without one. So let me show you exactly how the scanning works for this as well, okay? Because obviously, if we're looking at the Dow today, we don't really have a pattern. The idea behind technology is it should help you understand these things. It should also help you be able to find them. And so we go into like what we call our power console in MetaStock. And from here, we can open up the charts. We can go ahead and run our scans. You can do system testing in MetaStock, which allows you to test and see what ideas work really well in the past. And there's even a forecaster. But today, what we're primarily going to focus in on is how to do charts and how to run a scan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on the scan button right here. Okay, and you'll notice right here we've got a list of the different scans that are available in here. Okay, now one of the things, and I'm just going to come down to, I believe they're under CPS. So all of the scans that are available are called CPS. And so if I go back to this table, you can kind of see how we've organized them. We've got what we considered price patterns, Doji Dynamite, the power signals, and then the J-hook patterns. And then as part of the 2.0 release, we added a new one that's called single bar signals or major patterns. Okay, so depending on what I want to look at, if I could run all of these. I just put a little bit of a check mark box in all of them, or I could run it with some individually. One of the other things that we have that I use on a let's say about a quarterly basis is there's a universe scan. Now, unlike the other scans, this one is not really designed to go in and find signals. What it's designed to do is it's designed to go through your list of stocks, and it's designed to find out and filter out any stocks that are below $5 and don't have an average of 200,000 shares traded every day. So this one I go in, I run it about once a quarter, refresh my list, and I'll be able to take a list of the 6,000 optionable stocks and narrow it down to maybe 4,000 or 3,000, something like that. Okay. On a daily basis, usually the patterns that I'm looking for are going to be like the Doji Best Friend. Again, that's one of my favorite patterns. So if I wanted to kind of find stocks that had a Doji Best Friend or a Doji at the top, which are the same pattern, one is a bullish pattern and one is a bearish pattern, but basically what you're looking for is a Doji, which is a sign of indecision, followed by a best gap up in the case of a best friend, which indicates, as Steve likes to say, that your decision's been made. My favorite pattern to look at for stocks. So if I wanted to run this scan, just basically going to put a check mark here. What I'm going to do, and the nice thing about like the data that we get with MetaStock is it's all powered by Reuters data or Thomson Reuters. Now that it's called Refinitiv, they just got bought out. But the fact that we're powered by Reuters data means that we cover about 91% of the entire global market cap. So you can go in, and if you happen to be in Asia, you want to scan through, like let's say the Hong Kong exchange or the Singapore exchange or something in China, you're able to. If you want to trade something in Europe, let's say you want to trade the London markets, you'll be able to. If you're here in the U.S., you're probably interested in optionable stocks or futures or ETFs. With the amount of data that we have in Reuters, it's kind of actually pretty ridiculous. We have access, we could run a scan against 382,697 instruments. But the important thing is, just like with everything in MetaStock, is there's a lot of data in here that you're not going to look at. The important thing is it's going to be available if you need it. It's just like all the other indicators that Steve was talking about and things like that. One of the things I love about MetaStock is I've been doing this for like 21 years, and it's a program that I haven't grown out of. You know, I haven't found stuff that we haven't been able to do because it's not available as an indicator and that kind of stuff. It's a very, very capable program, and I think that's part of the value offer. MetaStock's really literally a product that gets better as you get better at trading, and that's not something that you just grow out of. In any case, I kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent here. What I'm going to do to make the scan run really fast, though, is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to scan against my my custom list that I've got online. So if I was to do all of the optionable stocks, that's going to be about 4,269 stocks. But I've pre-filtered that list down to about 2,496 by running that pre-filter scan. And so I just saved that as a list in here. I'm going to go ahead and run it. We'll go ahead and start it. Yeah, sure. We'll start it right here. You'll notice I'm running a daily scan, okay? And it's going to run very quickly through these. And I'm using the current time. So you can go back in, and if you're kind of doing this on paper and you want to scan for something that happened maybe like a month or two ago, you can. For the most cases, if you're up and running and you're trading with this and you're done testing it, What you're able to do is actually you just leave this checked. If you want to run a daily scan, you just leave it on daily. Okay. When the report's done and you saw it run while we were kind of talking, basically you're going to get a list of stocks that meet that criteria. So out of those 2,500 stocks, the ones that had a doji pattern is going to be doji at the top is this first column. It'll have a 1 in this column. There's about 3 stocks. There's CubeSmart, Henry Schein Ordinary, and Splunk Ordinary. Okay, those are the 3 today that had an actual pattern. Okay, the other columns that might show up a pattern is Doji Best Friend, Left Right Bull Kicker, Left Right Bear Kicker, Series of Bear, Series of Bullish, Doji Sandwich, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Each of these columns represent a different pattern. So now, from a perspective of trading, instead of looking at all 2,500 stocks, what I want to be able to do, there's no way I'm going to be able to look at 2,500 stocks with my schedule, right? Is I want to be able to focus on the ones that have an opportunity. So I can take a look at these charts. I'm just going to go ahead and open them up. We've got CubeSmart, Henry Schein, Splunk Ordinary. I'll just go ahead and click on Open Chart right here, and we'll be able to look at them. It looks like somebody sent me a private message. Okay. And Howard's having some issues with Africa hearing the sound. Howard, we will, I don't know why I'm answering him by saying it out loud when he can't hear me, but I'm just going to type up, he'll get a recording tomorrow real quick. You will get. Okay. Since you send that to me privately, I better answer. In any cases. Yeah, we do. We do have a special price here. Raymond, let's see. You should be able to see kind of this picture of this exploration report. We've been having some issues, it seems, today with people having it, but it seems like if you hit the refresh button, which I believe is, I'll let Jim Cooper tell you where the refresh button is. It seems to have been helping people. So, in any case, I opened up these 3 charts. Let's go ahead and kind of just take a look at them. Here you had that doji followed by the gap up. It kind of worked itself down to, it seems, but now I can just look at those 3 stocks. Unfortunately, I didn't open them up with the template. I should have. But if you do that and you just want to be able to look at all the patterns, all that kind of stuff, I'll just go ahead and apply the template. It'll put back all of the indicators on there. And that's just as simple as it is. I guess it was a doji at the top if I'm looking at the right time frame. In any case, that's in a nutshell a little bit about how it works. Again, the patterns that we're going to identify are going to be a pretty extensive ones that Steve's taught over the years. Here it is. I'm not going to read off all the patterns. I'm a big fan, if you can't tell, of the doji best friend. I also like the cradles and the scoops and those type of things, but the doji best friend is the one that I usually run on a very regular basis when I'm looking for a trade. So it's all broken down in the 7 explorations. I do appreciate your interest to see if there's a bit of a special offer in this product. That was a pretty good overview of it. And as a matter of fact, we are going to do a special offer here at the webinar. So the Candle Profit System is an add-on for MetaStock, and normally it's a one-time cost of $499, which I think is a bargain. Here at the webinar, what we'll do is we'll give you a special offer where it'll only be $399. Now, if you own version 1 and you want to buy version 2, you can upgrade. There's basically a huge discount, and I believe it's about $99, but it could be even less than that. I know it's not more than that, but I don't remember the upgrade price off of my head. But if you have version 1, you can definitely get upgrade to version 2, and it's very, very affordable. Okay. With that, since it's add on the MetaStock, you're going to need MetaStock to run it. So we'll actually give you a 30-day free trial of MetaStock as part of your purchase with that. As soon as you order, you're going to get a special boot camp that Steve and I sat down and recorded. Steve does a little bit of a part of this where he kind of talks about the different patterns that we've got, and they're in the product. But I actually sit down for about a half an hour and walk through step by step. Here's how you run your pre-filter scan. Here's how you save your list out. Here's how you look at the symbols. Here's the scans that you can run every day. Here's how you do them. It's a very, very simple process, and really, literally, it only took me about 30 minutes to kind of go through everything I thought you would need to know to get started with MetaStock. But that was the whole idea. Give you a boot camp that can kind of hold your hand while you're getting up and running. The other thing that we pride ourselves in is we offer a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. So you're able to try it. If it's helpful for you, you can keep it. If you don't like it, if you don't think it's helpful for you, we'll just ask you why you didn't like it. We do that in case you're having some problems that we can easily help you with. But we'll just give you a refund. And I'm sure that's the kind of risk reward you could get, you wish you could get out of any trade that you did. So if you can't tell, I'm extremely proud of this product. I feel like it's something that we spend a lot of time on. It's been hugely well received in the market and in the industry, both from the experts like Barbara Starr at Stocks and Commodities to people that are using it. So if you haven't tried it, I'd recommend you give it a go. You can go up and you can place your order on metastock.com/candlestick4MA. If you have more questions, I'm going to kind of look at some questions here, make sure I don't miss any, but we do have some very good reps that work here to help answer questions and understand what the products do. And you're welcome to reach out to them at metastock.com/sales chat. Steve does ask Steve and SP asked the same question. How much does MetaStock cost after 30 days? So let me go ahead and kind of show you exactly. We'll just go ahead and hopefully if I click right here, it'll open up a new browser window. It did for me. So if you come up here, there's really two options that are available for MetaStock. And so right here, you can watch a little video that I recorded earlier this year when we launched 2.0. You can kind of come down here. If you scroll down, if you already have MetaStock, just click this one. It'll give you the MetaStock as the one-time fee. We've got two versions of MetaStock. We have what we call a daily charts version, which allows you to do daily, weekly, monthly, yearly scanning. It's $59 a month is all. Okay. We also have a real-time version that's powered by what we call MetaStock Zenith. MetaStock Zenith is a white-labeled version of a product called Thomson Reuters Icon. If you're not familiar with the Thomson Reuters Icon, Thomson Reuters Icon is a product that Reuters built. They've invested over $1 billion just getting it off the ground, and probably another $1 billion since that happened. It's a new service as well as one of the best real-time data feeds on Earth. They build it from the ground up to compete head-to-head with Bloomberg, which costs about $2,000 a month. And that with MetaStock will cost you around $199 a month. Okay. The other thing that I would kind of warn you or advise you to do is do the trial because you can do that for free. But what you can do is if you are interested, if you like it, if it's helping you make money, you should talk to us because there's a one-time purchase option available for both MetaStock and MetaStock Real-Time. And in the case of MetaStock Real-Time, if you decide you want to purchase it as a one-time cost, your cost instead of being $199 to $250 a month would be $99 to $150 a month. It cuts $100 off your monthly cost. So a lot of people, they do the free trial, they make sure they like it, and then if they like it and it's something that's helpful for them, great. They purchase the software and they pay about $100 a month for data. Okay. If it's something that doesn't work for you, though, then the equation is very, very simple on that side too. You just cancel and get your money back. So that's kind of the way that it works there. Olin asked a question, can you trade out of MetaStock? The answer that I will give you for that is not yet. We will be working on that, and it'll come in a couple of years. We've always prided ourselves in the ability in offering the best tools to help you make the decisions around trading. So honestly, trading out of the box hasn't been a huge priority for us, although people do want to be able to do that. What we've been doing, and the reason we've been rated, like MetaStock itself has been rated #1 in its price category every single year for the last 25 years in a row. So we've done there's this saying out there that's focus on what you're good at. What we're really good at and what we've always been really good at is helping you identify the right time at the right the right trade at the right time. I can't even talk in English anymore. And that's really kind of what our focus is. The other thing that's a side note of that is it means you can use any broker you want. You don't have to send us $10,000 and open up a trading account. You just pay for the tools as long as they're useful for you. Okay. So Hanny says, please go over the cost in a little bit more detail. I can do that. A lot of it does depend on kind of the data that you want and the data that you need. So let's say I'll give a hypothetical example, and let's say that you're somebody that's interested in trading stocks. Let's say you're very busy during the day and you don't really need real time. Okay, so your options for stock and option trader would be you can pay $59 a month and you get MetaStock and you get all the data and you don't have to worry about it. The one-time purchase cost for MetaStock is like normally $4.99. If you buy it as part of this Bigelow promotion, we'll give it to you for $4.49. So we give you a bit of a discount, and then your data cost would be about $27 a month afterwards. So those would be the two options in that type of a scenario. If you're a MetaStock real time, and let's say you're interested in trading Forex, for example, your cost after the 30 days, if you decided to stay on MetaStock with the Forex data feed, would be $199 per month. That would continue to give you global access to like all North American stocks, futures, the Asian stocks and futures. Like it includes the whole world. It's just that the Forex would be real time. The one-time purchase price for MetaStock is about $13.95. It's $12.95 as part of the promotion with this trial, and basically, so you pay that as a one-time cost, and you pay $99 a month. So those are kind of from a high level what the options are. It's either a monthly cost or a monthly lease, or you can actually purchase it and then just pay for the data. And the reps can sit down with you. They're very good at this. They can talk to you exactly about what will be the best based on what you want to be able to trade and what you want to be able to follow. In some cases, if somebody's interested in like stocks and futures, actually the $60 a month package is the best way if they want to do end of day. So I would recommend you have a conversation with us. But the biggest thing I want to be able to do is I want to lower the barrier of entry for you. So I'm going to give you a money back guarantee on the $3.99 cost. I'm going to give you a free month of MetaStock. And then that way you'll be able to say, okay, yeah, this is very helpful for me. I want to keep it. I can see why it's been rated number one for 25 years in a row or whatever. You say to yourself, your internal dialogue might be a little bit different than mine, but you'll be able to kind of make that decision. And if it's useful for you, if it does help you find better trades, it's probably worth it at any cost. On the other hand, if it's not, it's not, right? So that's why we try and kind of get you in with a very low risk offer. We have that's the way we make ourselves, based on our ability to kind of help you make better trading decisions. So, all right, and also PT, if you want to kind of go through the options, just chat online with one of our reps or give us a call. So you can go to metastock.com/saleschat. There's all kinds of videos and information on our website at metastock.com as well. Okay. Equities and options, perfect. I gave you the perfect example there for you, Annie. Okay. All right. So that's what I had for you. Again, if there's anything I can do, or if there's any questions that I missed for some reason, feel free to email me. My email is just literally it's my first name, Jeffrey.Gibby@metastock.com. I'll get back to you fairly quickly. I hope you try it out. I hope you enjoy it half as much as I do. So with that being said, thanks for coming tonight. A big thank you to Steve, huge thank you to Steve for the impact that you've had on me professionally and it personally with rating and kind of, I really appreciate your work and support over the years. With that being said, I'll see you at the next one. Oh, I will type my email, sure. All right, you're welcome. I'm going to type in my email, and then I'm going to go home and play with my kids.
All right.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, thank you. I recommend a lot of good stuff on when we do these chats, but I highly, highly recommend this program. Not only do you get very good information, good scanning techniques from MetaStock, but their customer service is probably the best I've ever seen. They are so helpful that you don't, there's no question about whether they're going to get you on the right track or not. So with that, adjust my microphone. Okay, sorry about that. All right, everybody, have a good evening. We will see you bright and early in the chat rooms tomorrow. We'll see you then.